Hello everyone, in this video we will see what comments are. So the basic question is what are comments? So comments are nothing but description or, or you could say one or more lines of description as to what a particular piece of code is doing. So sometimes what happens is maybe you're writing a lengthy function and after a month or two, when you look back at the code, you might wonder as to why you had written that particular piece of code. So, to make the life simple for a particular coder, we have comments. So, when you actually write particular function, you can actually pass in a comment and you can write a description as to what this particular piece of code is doing. So this actually makes our life a lot easier, especially when you're trying to write codes and you're sharing the code with somebody else. So the other person doesn't have to figure out what exactly is going on inside the code, but can simply read through the comment and understand in a general manner as to what the code is doing. So there are a few different ways of declaring a comment. The simplest and the most easiest way is to use a hash. The hash symbol tells Python that whatever is written after the hash command is a comment, and Python, the way it is built, it always ignores the comments when it is trying to run the code. So let's see that in action. So I'll now open the notebook and let's say here, let's keep the code very simple. Let's say I just want to print hello. Okay, so when we run this, we can see the word hello is printed. But let's say I want to write a comment saying that this particular line of code is used to print the word hello. So that I can do when I can simply mention the hash. This code prints hello. So when I actually run this cell again, you can see that this particular code which is present in line 2, that is print hello, is printing hello, but this particular comment that we have written, that has no impact on the code. Okay, now sometimes we can actually, if you want to write a very lengthy explanation, and let's say we want to write the comments not in single line but multiple lines, we can also do that by using the hash symbol in multiple lines. So let's say I just want to take this particular code, this statement, this code prints hello, and I want to write this in two separate lines, let's say. So what I can do is, after writing this code, let's press here enter, and here I can again press in the hash command. So this code is in one line and print hello is another line. So if we run this, it works the same manner. So we can write multiple lines of code using the hash symbol. Now, there are other ways of writing multiple codes. Apart from writing hash symbol every time, you can take the help of what are known as triple quotes. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. So let's say I've written here triple quotes and I mention this is a example for commenting and multiple lines. also write this. And let's say I just split it into multiple lines. Okay. And let's write out again the same thing, print hello. And I run this. So you can see we can write multiple codes in triple quotation marks, and this is going to give us the exact result as to when we are writing multiple lines of commenting using the hash symbols. So if let's say you're going to write a very lengthy comment and you have to write it in multiple lines, I would suggest you take this route of writing this entire thing in triple quotes, so that you only have to mention the quotes twice, starting and the ending. But if you are taking the route of writing the multiple lines of comments using the hash symbol, you have to make sure that every line is going to start with this symbol hash. Only then will Python consider this as a comment. So let's say if I just remove this over here, and I've mentioned here print hello, and this actual command is down here. So if I run this now, Python is going to throw us a syntax error because Python is now trying to run this line too, which was actually part of a comment. So we have to mention this hash symbol. Only then Python will understand this a comment and it is going to let go of that particular line. So it will only execute line number 3 in this particular cell. Okay. Now let's go to the next topic. The next topic is nothing but doc strings. Doc strings are very similar to that of the comments. The only difference is that doc strings are used for writing some kind of documentation for a particular function or a method. We can also do that for classes or modules as well. But usually for functions and methods, whenever you're defining a new function and you want to write down as to what exactly the function does, you can obviously use the doc strings and you can mention that. So to give a small example, let's create a doc string, and prior to that, let's create our own function. So let's say I write something like def. So I'm defining a new function. So here I would say I want to multiply number. So let's say we want to multiply by 5. Let's say this is my function. So whatever number I have taken in, so let's say I'm writing it as x. So whatever number x I provide, the output should be that it gets multiplied by 5. So here I can simply mention it as return 5 times x. So this is my function. So if I simply say multiply by 5, and let's say we pass in the number 10, and we run this, we get the output as 50. Okay, now that we have actually written the name as multiply by 5, we know that when we are bringing in the command, we can easily understand that this is what this particular function does. So let's say if we actually write some vague function name, so instead of clearly mentioning as multiply by 5, let's say I just mention it as b1. Okay, and here also let's write it as b1, and let's again run the cell so that it gets defined. Now when we run this particular cell, we only after seeing the output we can understand that it is getting multiplied by 5. So to make our particular um, function more clear, what we can do is we can introduce a document string. So for using the document string, what I'll do is we are going to use the same thing, the triple quotation marks that we have. But inside here, what I'll mention is what exactly is this function v1 doing. So let's say I'll mention multiplies by 5 is what I've mentioned here. Okay, um, now let's run this. Now when we run this code, we will get 50 as usual. But if we want more information on B1, so what I can do is I can write B1 and I can press shift and tab. Okay, now you can see signature is nothing but the function itself B1 of X. But here you can see the doc string is mentioning as multiplies by 5, the statement which you have written here, the documentation string. So this allows the user to understand what exactly is the function doing for us. Okay, so it is multiplies by 5 is a document string. This is one way of looking at a documentation string. The other way which many people actually want to usually follow is by writing the doc. Simply they can say print. So let's say I just write print b1 dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. So if I press this, then also we get the same documentation string. So it's clearly mentioning multiplies by 5, the exact same thing which we have written here. So that's a personal choice. You can either write the function and press shift tab in a notebook and look at the documentation string, or you can actually print out the documentation by using the function name dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore, and when you print this you get your documentation. So this is how doc strings are used inside Python for the same purpose again, but this time we want to make sure that whatever function we have written, that is of that is making sense as to what the function is doing. So to give more information to the user as to what the function is all about, we need to use the doc strings. All right, so this is what I have for you today with respect to the documentation strings. Thank you.